stream, believe it or not. And yeah, it says that the next stream is going to be Vodus. It calculates its ID. I think the ID should be correspondent with the ID in the schedule itself, in the web page. I think it is. Yes, it's literally the same ID. Description, URL, blah, blah, blah. Here we go, here we go. Pretty epic, I would say. Pretty mother flipping epic. What do you guys think? What do you think? So, this is the current project. And as you can see, we do a lot of JSON stuff. Yeah, we do a lot of JSON stuff. And the library that we're using for JSON stuff is meh. And that's why we're rewriting it. Not in Rust, by the way. Imagine rewriting something and not in Rust and at the same time living in 2020. This is illegal. This is literally illegal, but if you don't tell anybody, they're not gonna put me in jail. So, chat, don't tell anybody that in 2020, I'm rewriting a project and not in Rust. No, no, no. Nobody should know about it. So, let's get for it. Let's take a look at the current state of the JSON parser. The current state of the JSON parser, is it bad? Is it good? I have no idea. So we have a JSON.h. Believe it or not, the whole JSON parser in terms of entry points, not in terms of types, but in terms of entry points, consists of only two functions. Parse JSON value and print JSON value. And the question is, why should it be anything fucking else? Why should it be anything fucking else? What do you want to do with the JSON? You want to fucking parse it, and sometimes you want to fucking print it. You don't want to do anything else with the JSON. And that's why we have two functions. So there might be differences in how you want to print it, right? We only support the standard C file stream. But this is where it gets complicated. What if you want to use Linux file descriptors? What if you want to render it into a string? There's so many ways you can do this kind of shit. Well, maybe we're not gonna do any of the shit and we're gonna allow only rendering into a string, and then you will supposed to send that string anywhere, but at the same time you need to know upfront the size of the rendered things. This is probably where it gets complicated, I suppose. Everything else is just the types that describe the JSON. And yeah, we have a JSON value, which can be in different type. And we have the 6 famous JSON types. If you're a JSON person, you know these 6 holy JSON types. Like you memorize all of them. It's null, Boolean, number, string, array, and objects. 6 holy JSON. Why am I even talking like that? I don't know. So yeah, and this is basically exponent. You know, and it kind of makes sense. First of all, the parser now supports infinitely big numbers. It actually completely complies to the specification. Second of all, if in the majority of the situation, people don't really work with floating point numbers. This is very interesting, right? So JSON kind of supports real numbers, but majority of the people just don't work with real numbers. They work with integers. So, and if you work with integers, your fraction and your exponent are going to be literally both equal to 0, which means that you can easily convert JSON number into integer by simply converting this string into integer, right? So, and if you need something more, you can implement more sophisticated algorithm that will, you know, parse it even further. So we don't try to be smart in this particular situation and parse everything for you and decide what kind of type you want to use. We just, you know, separate integer, fraction, exponent, and these are the digits that those things contain. And you can compose anything out of them what you want. And of course, to make the entry into the JSON parser a little bit simpler, we're going to introduce things like JSON number to integer, which literally just, you know, takes a JSON number and returns you an integer. So it will do that thing for you where if your fraction and exponent are 0, it will, you know, parse the integer for you. And if you need actual double, a JSON number to double, yeah, so you will have these separate things. Is that a good solution, by the way, chat? I think it's kind of an interesting solution. So the library does not try to be smart or force any kind of type on you. It just tells you, here are the components of the number. Do whatever the fuck you want with them. I think it's a pretty interesting approach because I didn't see that in any JSON parser. And I was thinking about how to approach parsing numbers in the JSON parser, and this approach makes the most sense for me, at least right now. And one of the main reasons why I don't want to do it that way is because S2D implementation is probably fucking cancer and I don't want to do it. So I just want to implement only the things that I need, but leave the room for the rest of the implementation. And that's exactly what this thing is doing here. Use lazy string, Kek. Thank you, Adnan. That's a good advice. I'm going to listen to it. What if number is in string is bigger than the size limit though? That's a good question. I don't know, you're gonna overflow, I suppose. You're gonna overflow, but if you know that you're gonna overflow, you probably don't want to use this function and you probably want to write your own custom function, right? If you don't know that you're gonna overflow, well, do you really know what you're doing then? Can you buffer overflow with a huge number? I don't think this is how buffer overflow works. Buffer overflow is when you're trying to access a memory outside of the buffer. So by adding numbers together in a huge amount of times, you don't really produce a buffer overflow. You produce an integer overflow or integer underflow if you're working with negative numbers, but you less likely hit buffer overflow. It's a different kind of error. It's absolutely different kind of error. So let's give this idea a try. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I think I want to give this idea a try. So we're gonna put a JSON number here, and we're gonna replace this thing with a JSON number. Yes. I cut off my chest length hair today. Thank you for sharing that information with all of us. I really appreciate that. Unless the numbers you're adding to perform pointer arithmetic. But, I mean, the buffer overflow is going to happen after you hit some kind of integer overflow and underflow. So it's still going to be a separate thing that happens just later because of the previous one. I guess depends on what we mean by words. So, all right. So, and we definitely will need a function that converts all of that into the integer. But how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? An exponent is also going to be a cancer to properly work with. So, well, to be fair, since all of that thing is an integer, it should be relatively easy to parse as an integer. Yes, 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 yes. Because look, this is actually epic. What is, you know, how the integer is going to be represented? You have the whole part, the integer part, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have a fractional part, 7, and you have an exponent, which is a decimal exponent. So basically you multiply it to the 10 to the power of that exponent. So in the majority of situations, it's going to be 0, which will be equal to 1, which doesn't matter, and you're going to end up with this kind of number. So if you still have something inside of that exponent, right, what you essentially do, you take that number and shift the point to the right 2 times, and then you grab the whole part, the integer part. This is basically what this exponent means. It basically positions the point. The point is positioned by the fraction and the exponent. So, and if we want to parse only integer out of that thing, right? If we want to parse only integer out of that thing, we simply gonna start parsing numbers from fraction for this amount of characters, and then add all of that to this integer. So it's going to be super easy. But I'm not going to try implement a parsing double. But you will be able to implement that because you have all of the components in place if you need to. Here's the idea. Okay, so I think we established everything, and everything seems to be feasible at least. So let me actually mark what we're doing. Parse JSON number, and this is basically what we're doing. 6014. JSON number to int 64t. Or maybe just integer. Yeah, let's call it integer. JSON number, and let's just copy paste that inside of JSON.c. Maybe I'm gonna implement it right now. Maybe I'm gonna implement it like that right now. I feel like implementing it right now. Like I just feel it. I just want to do it right now. And we have a special, you know, test bench to do this kind of thing. By test bench, I literally mean the executable that is not the application, but inside of that executable, we can test things. It's called JSON_C. And here we literally try to parse null, true, and false. That's what we do. So we have test cases here. We iterate those test cases. We parse them. We assert that the parsing was not error, and we try to print them. We can even try to run it. I think I want to do that. So you see, this basically indicates that we successfully parsed null, true, and false. The most difficult things to parse in JSON. Okay, any serious on-topic questions so far, chat? Just implement your own float parser. Isn't that what we're doing right now? Just use regular expressions. So you don't really understand what we're doing here. We're programming in C. To use regular expressions, we have to implement them. Maybe there are like a third-party regular expression libraries in C, but I bet you they fucking suck. Because when we tried to use JSON libraries in C, they all fucking sucked, and we have to implement it ourselves. Okay. Nobody has you know, serious on-topic questions. Serious on topic question. Serious on topic questions. So structure can be nested, etc. Who told you that? Who told you that you know, using regular expressions in JSON parser is a huge no-no? Or did you come up with that idea yourself? My point is, why do you let letters on the screen tell you what to do with your life? I'm pretty sure it's the letters on your screen that told you that regular expressions and JSON parsing is a big no-no. Oh, you came to that conclusion yourself, as the structure can be nested over and over. So you cannot parse nested structures with regular expressions. But the problem with that conclusion is that regular expression is not a well-defined thing. What is the regular expression? Different languages have different implementation of regular expression. As a matter of fact, Perl has a very interesting and very powerful regular expression that can be recursive. So I never programmed in Perl, and I probably never will be, because the hype around Perl died out and there is no really reason to learn it except for recreational purposes. And to be fair, I'm all about recreational purposes. Maybe I will learn it one day. And you can do, so regular expressions are built into the language itself, so you can define them like so. I don't remember the exact syntax. I don't remember the exact syntax of them. But if I remember correctly, they allow you to use the variable where you store the regular expression to be used inside of the regular expression, which enables you with recursive regular expression. Once you have recursion, you have a way to express nestiness. You see where I'm going? You see where I'm going? But again, I never, I know nothing about Perl. Do we have any professional Perl developers who can confirm or deny this exact fact? So my point is, you're basing your assumptions on a not well-defined thing. When you say a regular expression, what do you mean a regular expression? A regular expression is not a really well-defined thing. Different people mean different things, and as a matter of fact, different languages mean different things when they say regular expression. So yeah, I wouldn't be that sure. And you're not that sure, I can see. So yeah, be open-minded. Be always open-minded. What are we doing, chat? What are we doing? Shazu. That's a good question. Are you sure you're not a programmer and not a philosopher? It depends on the definition of a programmer and philosopher. The reason why I'm laughing is because this is the most philosophical bullshit you can ever fucking say to that question. That's why I'm laughing. Yes, it depends on how you define philosopher and how you define a programmer. And by itself, that exact phrase is actually already philosophical bullshit. I have a serious question, why not implementing a regular expression? I suppose something like Perl's things can be considered a regular expression because they are not really regular anymore. Okay, PHP has R for recursive regular expression pattern. Nice. And PHP is based on Perl. So Perl probably has something similar. Yes. Nice, nice. Oh yeah, I just remembered what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to compile this shit and see how miserably it fails. That's exactly what I wanted to try to do, chat. So this shit does not compile, so this is a number, and this, when you parse a number, yes. So since we've changed the definition of a number, now we have to print the numbers slightly differently as well. So now we should take JSON number. This is what we know. So, and it compiles surprisingly enough. So you see, I'm passing there a shit that is not supposed to be passed there. And that's exactly the reason why I don't really like printf functions. Printf functions are actually, they actually solve a lot of problems with C-type system, but at the same time, they introduce a lot of other problems. So the cost of solving the problems they solve is extremely fucking high, and this is like you know, type unsafety usually, because fprintf does not support printing this type, but you can put it there anyway. You can just put it there anyway, and this is, yeah, doesn't solve any kind of fucking problems. Anyway, so maybe we want to rewrite that. So since we have separate components, maybe we can do the following thing. So first of all, it's gonna be really weird, because what if the number, like this particular number representation allows not only digits but any kind of characters. And print JSON number may actually contain some weird bullshit, but I guess I'm gonna address that a little bit later. I hope we can address that a little bit later. Maybe instead of the strings, right, we can store this thing as an array of digits, and as a matter of fact, we can store this as an array of digits in the radix of 2 to the power of 64. Yes, and that will actually make it not possible to have other things here. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Do you guys know, you know, an efficient implementation of big integers and shit like that? How do you implement big integers, by the way, chat? How would you implement big integers and big arithmetics? Integer arithmetics, because I have no idea how to implement big real arithmetic, but, or rather fixed point, because I think in the majority situation it's just fixed point. Well, I did wider integer arithmetic, but it wasn't infinite width, just wider. Oh. I remember in university we had an exercise where we implemented arbitrary size big arithmetic, like big integers in Java. Did some googling. You're right that Perl apparently parse JSON, but normal regulars cannot do to JSON using. Again, what do you mean by regular expression? Okay, yes, you missed my point, but I'm glad that you learned something new. Okay, so you implement big arithmetics as array of numbers, So your number is going to be just array of numbers, and it's probably going to be dynamic one. So you're also going to store that the size of the array of numbers, so x is size. And how do you do any iterations of those numbers? You do them literally how would you do on paper, right? You want to add up two numbers. How would you add them up? Digit by digit. 7, 5, 3. And if there is some kind of, I don't know, overflow, right? You're gonna end up with 2 here, and you're gonna put 1 here. I don't know terminology of this kind of thing in English. Yeah. So this is literally how you would do that in a computer. But the first thing you will probably try to do, you would probably try to do that in radix 10, right? So that means in each individual element of the array, your value is going to be around this. Yes. But in what you ended up with, you ended up with wasted memory and wasted performance, because the integer itself is capable of holding so much more. And as a matter of fact, if you use 64 bits integer and maybe unsigned for that extra bit, because you can store negative in a separate kind of value, in a separate value, you can hold enormous amount of values. As a matter of fact, you can hold up to 264. And this is exactly the radix in which you can perform all these kind of operations. Maybe we should implement a big arithmetics one day, because it's a very interesting, you know, thing to implement. And yeah, so this is how we would store that, and it's gonna be super fucking fast. As a matter of fact, if your integers are smaller than this, the performance is not going to be that much different from just a regular arithmetics, right? Because your integer fits into a single cell of a big integer, and you're going to have just a small overhead of the implementation of big integer, but that overhead is not going to be super fucking big. Okay, so yeah, this is how we do that. And this is exactly what I meant here. So the problem with using string here is that in a string, you first of all wasting memory, because, well, maybe you don't. And on top of that, you can have incorrect JSON numbers, where instead of digits, you would have characters or something like that. So what if we introduce something similar to big arithmetics here? I mean, why not? Sounds very interesting. So we're literally implementing big numbers at this point. But I don't want to do it right now. I don't really want to do it right now. Maybe later in the future. I'm just saying. Just want to put to do because of the use of strings. JSON number could can hold an incorrect value. So this is just something to keep in mind, and by using these, you know, big integers with the big radix and stuff like that, I want to kind of illuminate that situation. But on top of that, it will complicate the parsing and shit. But at the same time, like, if you parsed everything successfully, you should not have incorrect JSON numbers. The only way to get an incorrect JSON number is to construct it yourself. Yes, that's, yeah, we basically, like, the parser itself should not produce such incorrect numbers, but we leave an opportunity to construct an incorrect value. That's the problem. And that's why it's not that major of a problem. Because we're not going to produce that. It's the user who will produce that. And if only the user can produce such things, is that even an error then? Because we're pretty, you know, we're pretty liberal software in that sense. Like, if you want to fucking do that, if you want to screw yourself over, just go ahead and screw yourself over. But don't cry about it later, when everything is actually screwed up. So I think it does make sense. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. So JSON, print JSON number. How we're gonna print it? We're gonna first of all print the integer part. Yes, we're gonna print the integer part. So integer part is a string, and that means I should be able to use something like fwrite which takes a pointer to the buffer that you want to print, the size of the element that you want to print, and the amount of elements that you want to print. Why do you need a butt plug if you have a T plug? Sorry. F read, no, F write, excuse me. Number, integer. So, and we have, what do we have here? We have, I think we have data. So this is basically what we're using here. The size of a single thing. I guess size of a single thing here is 1, and the amount of elements here is len. And then the string where we're going to put all of that, we're going to put it here. Okay. So JSON number can be unlimited. Yes, it can be unlimited. And you probably just joined here. Somebody on the previous stream, somebody pointed out a very interesting thing. According to the JSON documentation, numbers can be unlimited as well. Because you see, digits never end. There's no end condition here whatsoever. So according to JSON specification, it can be infinite. It just can't be infinite. Sorry, they can be infinite. We have to handle it somehow, I suppose. Right, so, and we also need to check if we even have a fractional part, because we may not even have it. Number, fraction, and let's check if it's not equal to 0. If it's greater than 0, that means we do have a fractional part. And so before actually writing that thing there, I think we need to separate this thing with the dot, right? We need to separate it with a dot. Number, fraction, data, 1, number, fraction, length, string. There we go, chat. The same goes to exponent. As a matter of fact, I can even copy-paste this code. I just straight up copy-pasting this code and replace the word fraction with exponent. And replace dot with e. And yeah, it's gonna work. Yeah. So it should produce something, I suppose. We can give it a try, if you think about it. We can give it a try. So let's first try to compile it and see if it compiles. It does compile with a couple of warnings. Does it compile with anything related to printf? It doesn't. It looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Let's go to JSON test and simply try to print a number that you can construct yourself. So we're going to have a number, JSON number, as a matter of fact. Oh, come on, fingers, type. So we're going to have integer, right? And what we're going to put as an integer, we're going to put SLT there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be our integer. And if you try to print JSON number, so I think you have to provide the string first and then the number. It will print it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On top of that, I think I should use fprintf. I don't know why I keep using this, like fprintf for single characters, when in fact I could have used fputc, right? I could have just used fputc and stdout. But maybe fprintf is just less amount of characters, and that's exactly the reason why I did that. Yep. And let's see what's gonna happen, chat. Let's see what's gonna happen. Maybe on top of all of this shit, I also want to separate some stuff. Like puts. Do I want to do that? Does puts put and line after that? I guess it does, whatever. Let's recompile that. It does not compile. I wonder why. So reference to print JSON number, undefined reference. So I actually, that's kind of weird. Print JSON number. And here it is, but it tells me that it does not exist in JSON test. What the hell? Maybe we have to actually rebuild everything? Let's rebuild everything, and it's still gonna tell us this kind of shit. I know exactly why this doesn't work. Chat, I know exactly. You wanna know why? Because I wanted to show off the fact that our library consists only 2 entry points, parse JSON and print JSON, because why the hell would you want anything else? Why the hell would you want anything else? And I was right. You know why? Because if you want to print a value, JSON value, this is not how you fucking do that. Well, number is a JSON value, so fucking wrap it into a JSON value then. Smart ass, just wrap it into JSON value. That's exactly what you have to do. So this is gonna be a JSON value, right? Then we're gonna, specify the type JSON number. Then the number itself is gonna be this, and there you go. This is how you construct a JSON value number. JSON value number. So. And it still doesn't fucking compile because I forgot to replace this thing with a JSON value. That's right. Hooray! Let's see if it prints anything. It printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Epic. Absolutely motherflipping epic. Absolutely motherflipping epic. So what if we have a fraction? A fraction 6, 7, 8, 9. And what's gonna happen in this particular situation? Will it print that a fraction? Yes, it did. What if I have an exponent? Will that print that exponent? Might as well actually do something like make JSON, and it in fact did fucking print that exponent. I didn't really like big E, to be fair, because it has the same height as the rest of the characters, and it doesn't visually act like a separator. It doesn't visually act like a separator. So, any serious on-topic questions? Could somebody explain me what SLT does? Okay, so first of all, this source code is released already. It's already available for everybody under MIT license. You can find it here. If you went to the source code and grabbed SLT, as a matter of fact, define SLT, you would instantly find its implementation. So yeah. Any other serious on-topic questions? Ever for me? I suppose you wanted to say even for me. Of course, I didn't explicitly exclude you from the license. Like, you know there's a license like everybody except RMS? Like, wait a second. Everybody except RMS. There is such license, by the way. Oh, for fuck's sake, good DuckDuckGo. license. Woodness, my god.
Rainbow Plus.
Thank you so much for 9 months of Twitch Prime support. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, and welcome back to our epic web development club. So yeah, we're epic web developers here. I don't understand why people are so excited about this search engine. It literally cannot find shit. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Dyslexia. Well, it didn't help. Okay. Stallman. Yes. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. So anyone but Richard Stallman license, I think. Can you find something like that? Yeah. This software is released under the anyone but Richard M. Stallman license described below. Do anything you want with this program with the exception listed below under exception. This software is provided without no warranty when you can. In the unlikely event that you happen to make a zillion bucks of this, make sure, I mean, seriously. This is very childish. Exceptions. Richard M. Stallman, the guy behind GNU, etc. Like, I don't know, this doesn't sound like a, actual language, like actual language that lawyers use. Like, I mean, come on. Like, just the whole license sounds very childish. It's just like very childish. So yeah, my point was, so you said even for me. Yes, of course for you, because I did not explicitly excluded you from usage of the software, like in this case, right? Yeah, so of course you can use it unless I exclude you. But I'm pretty sure there was not a single precedence when Stallman tried to use a software and the owner of software actually sued him for using his software because of that license. I'm pretty sure there was not a single precedence of this kind of situation, because we would have known. If that happened, we would have fucking know. Anyway. Anyway, any other serious on-topic question? Okay, how about non-serious, non-on-topic questions? Do you have those at least? Shouldn't the global constants be const? Probably, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone using that license and organic has made anything useful to be used. I mean, yes. Like, I mean, it's... At least you could have worded it a little bit more official to make it sound a little bit more efficient. Just... zillion bucks, buy poor Emil, the guy behind GNU. These specific small phrases make it sound so childish and so unserious. But maybe that's exactly what's the intent. Maybe it's not even considered like a real license by the creator of that license. I don't know. Maybe that was exactly the intent, to make it sound as childish as possible, because that's how it sounds like. So if that was the intent, sure, they achieved it. How far are you aiming to go with this parser? At least 10 kilometers. So is it super serious and you'll make it a competitive JSON parser? Well, if I'm gonna participate in competitive programming like a Google Code Jam or code forces, and there will be something related to JSON parsers, and I won't be allowed to use third-party JSON parsers. I will definitely use this one. So will that make it a competitive library if I use it in competitive programming competitions? I think it will. So yeah, I do plan to make it a competitive library, yes. So so I'm planning to go at least 10 kilometers with this library, and after reaching 10-kilometer marks, there will be a competitive programming competition there. I'm going to use that library in the competitive programming competition. So I'm going to go very far and be very competitive. Did that answer your questions? I hope it did. Any other serious and topic questions? Okay. That sounds like a plan. Yes. Sure. Okay. Cool thing about SLT, by the way, is that it will construct this structure at compile time. Hopefully, though, I don't know. Because first of all, size of literal will be computed at compile time. So you can know size of the string literal at compile time. You will subtract 1 because it adds +1 for a null terminator. Then the string itself is static inline, and hopefully at higher levels of optimization it will be actually inlined. So I really like it. This particular macro has a high chance of constructing this kind of string at compile time with no additional runtime overhead. I would even say that this is a zero-cost abstraction. Oh, zero-cost abstractions and C, my God, unbelievable. Where's Godbolt? I want to open Godbolt. I just want to see if it actually, performs shit at compile time. just kind of curious. With a weird ethical programming culture thing, I have no idea what is that supposed to mean. I would be surprised there is everybody might Microsoft the devil in current license. What is that supposed to mean? What is ethical programming? What is that supposed to mean? This combination of words don't really make any sense to me. Can somebody enlighten me on what is that supposed to mean? Okay, here's the string, and compilation has failed. stdlib.h. No assembly generated. Beautiful. Why do I have such a strange colors? I think I have them because of the dark reader. And if I disable dark reader, everybody's going to be blind. No, it does not disable it until I refresh the page, I suppose. Okay. So, debated by dark reader, yes. All right, nothing generated so far. Nothing degenerated so far except me. So, and now let's try to construct, not just construct, but also mark it as an external. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, let's do something like that. SLT. Hello. For fuck's sake, mate. Hello. There we go. Yes. And it produced shit ton of fucking overhead, mate. Well, I asked it to be static inline, but it didn't make it static and didn't even inline it. So, but if we add a magical word, well, I just put all there without any additional optimization, and as you can see, well, it constructed that structure at compile time. Seriously, here's the structure. So it has size computed at compile time baked into the executable, And also the pointer to the string is also baked in the executable, and it's located in the static memory. So that's exactly the reason why I do it this way. So the end result is going to be zero cost abstraction. So isn't it cool? I think it's pretty cool. So I even verified and proved that it's going to be like that, but only at higher levels of optimizations. So you kind of have to rely on compiler magic to do it exactly what you want to do, which is not a really good thing to do, in my opinion. Like, you're not supposed to rely on compiler magic. I wish when I say inline, it would not be a suggestion, it would be a command. And if it's impossible to inline it, it would complain at compile time. I wish it would be something like that. But of course, compiler developers don't expect the users of their compiler to know what they're doing, so screw users of the compilers, right? So is anybody gonna bring up Jai? No? No? Not Jai yet? Okay. Anyways. I forgot what I'm doing, chat. I forgot what I'm doing. Why do you prefer the function call in the macro instead of struct literal? What? I need to compute the size of literal as well. I need to compute the size of literal as well. Are you expecting me to do this thing manually all the time? I don't want to do this thing manually all the time. No. Just don't want to do that. Or you mean, why didn't I make this a function? Because I know the idea. So you're supposed to put a literal here. And I suppose majority of people who program in C would expect this thing to be a macro, and if they want to find the definition of that thing, they will probably grab by define SLT rather than the function. At the same time, why are you using grep in 2020 and not IDE that will actually jump there? Anyway, so whatever, doesn't matter. You're asking not really interesting questions, chat, today. No, very opinionated questions. Why are you using function instead of macro, macro instead of function? Why didn't you mark variable const? What kind of question is that? Why don't you ask me why I use spaces and not tabs? Like, is that the level of questions you can ask? Like, seriously, is that the only things you can ask? Except, you know, something specific about how we manage memory in our JSON parser? Or how we, you know, actually recurse down in the parser, how efficiently we do that. Is that the only thing you're interested in? What kind of characters I use? That is, I'm not even mad, chat, don't get me wrong, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm really disappointed. Anyways. I asked about memory recursion, but you verbally attacked me. No, I didn't. Did I really verbally attack you? I don't remember. Wait a second. Spicy condiment. Oh, you're talking about the recursion in the regular expression. By the way, your question was actually pretty good. I gotta admit, and I didn't verbally attack you. I was just being Russian. So this is how in Russia we express, you know, excitement. I'm not even joking. So I really like your question. Don't feel bad. Like, I didn't try to verbally attack you. I was just being Russian. In Russia, when we are excited, we start to verbally attack each other. The reason I'm laughing because it's not that far from truth. That's why it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good question. I really like that. So yeah, and that question actually spawned the whole discussion about recursive regular expressions. And recursive regular expressions, which is some kind of like oxymoron by itself, because if it's a recursive, it's not really regular anymore by definition of regular, whatever definition of regular is, whatever. So yeah, so it was a good question. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. So here's the rule of thumb. Right, here's the rule of thumb. If your question spawned a discussion, it's a good question. So yeah. And remember, if I verbally attack you, that means I love you. Because how passionate I am. I'm not salty, I'm not angry, I'm just passionate. It's just passion. Anyway, so... Instaban. Instaban. So, okay. What are we doing? What are we doing? I forgot what I was doing. Chat, do you remember what I was doing? Oh, I just remembered that some person got banned in our channel some time ago with this command. They legit thought that they got banned, and then they come to Dennis Clark channel and complain about me that I ban people left and right without reason. When in fact they were never actually banned on this channel. It was so fucking funny. They still believe to this day that they were banned on this channel for no reason. It's... Thank you. Zhiyang, my god, Zhiyang, you're back. I feel like you haven't been on this channel for quite some time, I don't know why, but thank you so much for 8 months of tier 1 subscription. Thank you, and welcome back to back. Yes, welcome back. How are you doing, buddy? How are you doing? What the fuck? I want this emote. Wait, did Twitch produced an actually good emote? Really? I thought these emotes that Twitch usually put there are not kind of good. To be fair, the Pride Month emote were actually also quite good. There was a lot of good memes. But these haha emotes, the Christmas emote, were fucking terrible, by the way. That pack of Christmas emotes was terrible. Like, it was, at some point, it was just kind of cringy. They were trying to mimic those, you know, stale memes, and it was... bruh, it's just cringe. Yeah, the latest pack, that love pack, is actually kind of good. I kind of like it. So, well, I mean, they just, this is so... they feel, those emotes feel like boomers trying to get into the Zoomers meme culture. That's what they feel like. And that kind of makes them cringe, I guess. The ideas behind this emote, I mean, they feel like emotes created by boomers. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just my personal subjective opinion. Why should it matter? How are you going to handle someone's putting an emoji in a JSON value? Well, exactly how you're supposed to handle it. Just don't. Because everything is just data for you, it's just bytes. Just treat it as sequence of bytes. What is an emote? It's a sequence of bytes. What do we work with? We work with sequence of bytes. How do you handle that? Handle as any sequence of bytes as you do. Is that even English? I'm not sure, but whatever. So, I need to open a window, but I'm scared because I'm slowly getting sick. You know that feeling, like pre-sickness. You're not sick yet, but you already know that, yeah, I'm gonna be fucking sick. I can already feel that. I'm in a pre-sickness state. It's really hot in here. I want to open the window and I'm in a pre-sickness state. And the only option I have is to suffer. Let's make a cup of tea, chat. Let's make a cup of tea. You're so sick, Tsodim. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, so first step in any successful tea making, chat, is to dispose a poo-poo. So you take a poo-poo produced by your tea, and you dispose it. There we go. All right, here's the poo-poo, and I dispose it like that. Okay, the poo-poo has been disposed. Now, I'm gonna take the tea bag. The tea bag. This is how a tea bag's supposed to look like. Okay, this is how it's supposed to look like. Tea, hot tea when it's super hot. Exactly, you got it. You got it. Yeah, I'm gonna be tea bagging this tea. I don't know what I'm saying, whatever. Okay, the tea plag has been prepared. The tea plag is prepared. Does he grow his own tea now? Yes, in the middle of Siberia. In the middle of Siberian forest, I grow my own tea. That's what we do in Siberia. Yes. And also we need to boil up some water. To boil up some water. Okay. Another interesting thing. Are you reusing poo-poo tea after dry? No, I usually don't. This is not that kind of tea. I think. It's not like, you know, Chinese pu'er tea or something that can be rebrewed like hundreds of times. Not hundreds, but dozens of times. It's not that kind of tea, so yeah, man. Yeah, fun fact, in Russia people mostly drink tea, not vodka. Exactly. So tea is the most popular beverage in Russia. It's extremely fucking popular. I suppose it's like coffee in Brazil. It's like tea in Russia. Yeah. I forgot what I was doing. So, yeah, I think I just wanted to replace some shit here, chat. I wanted to replace big E. And I think I already did. Yes, I did. And I wanted to just test how it's gonna look like. Yes, here you go. Yeah. So finally, the separation went successfully. The separation went successfully. And the problem is, I didn't even create a separate branch for the shit I'm doing. Let me try to do that now. Kikona. Hell yeah, brother. That's a very interesting titles of the issue. You also noticed that, right? So, does anybody know how it actually happened? How it actually happened? Yeah, you probably saw it before the stream. Yes, I know. So, oh, because of yeah. I also tweeted that shit. Yes. I also tweeted that stupid shit. My god. Because we're using a special tool to collect to-dos, and that tool is using regular expressions. By the way, we're not parsing JSON with the regular expression. We parse arbitrary code with regular expressions, because our tool is a language agnostic. So we use a special regular expression which makes expressions like this a valid to-dos that you can actually collect and report, which makes it super fucking useful because now this kind of thing will also print the to-do and fail on it, which is pretty cool. What's funny is that you may think like it's a really difficult problem to solve, but in fact that problem is not that different from a problem to parsing this kind of to-dos, right? Because we had a similar problem with this style of comments when the issue titles contained this small part, and we have a special way of solving this kind of problems. Guess how we solve this kind of problems? We don't try to understand the language because this tool is language agnostic. We introduce mechanism that enables you with matching titles with regular expressions and cleaning them up. Right. So there's a special mechanism. Let me show you. Let me find it. Issue title transformation. So in the root of the project, you put .snitch.yaml, and this is where you can put title transformations. So you match this regular expression, and then you can specify what to replace it with. We support captcha groups, right? We support captcha groups, and then in replacement, you can actually specify those captcha groups. And this is a regular expression that enables you with replacing this tail with the title, and it automatically cleans it up. So this is the mechanism we have. And for each case, you're supposed to actually put, special case here. So yeah, this is how we basically solve this problem. And if you're interested in this kind of tool, it's called Snitch. We developed it on the stream. Oh my God, James, I don't know how to read your surname. Werner, I suppose this is how it's pronounced. Thank you for the raid. We are in the follower mode. Let me disable the follower mode for people who want to say, hey, hello, welcome, epic web developers. Yes, actually, epic web developers joined our stream. We're fake web developers. We're not real web developers. We're just pretending to be web developers. Yeah, but we're programming in C. We're trying to write a web application in C. I mean, we managed to write in like a REST API for a schedule in C. Yes, so it's a simple executable, and you can query that thing with curl, for example. And it has entry points, and for example, you can calculate the next stream. So this particular thing will be used by the front end. Everything will be rendered on the front end. And all of that is written purely in C, not even C++, only C. And we are using separate library for JSON parsing and JSON generating, and even that we are rewriting from scratch. Don't ask why. Don't ask why. I once wrote an HTTP server for Xbox 360 in C++ using WinSock back in the days. Well, I mean, the earlier versions of HTTP are actually quite simple. You literally separate by lines and then separate by colons. So that's pretty much it. But the latest HTTP versions, they have like a special behavior that you have to treat differently, and it's kind of difficult. Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty much exactly what we're doing. I'm not gonna implement my own like HTTP2 or something. I'm probably gonna put that behind Nginx. So I'm using HTTP, my own HTTP implementation here, as sort of like a transport protocol, not to be used in the production. So yeah, just invent HTTP3. Yes. Isn't HTTP3 basically rebranded Quick? I think it's basically rebranded Quick. That is based on UDP and stuff like that. Yes, it's, yeah. Okay, it's basically Quick. HTTP 69, yes, sure. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And I forgot what I wanted to do next. What I wanted to do as the next step. JSON.c. come on, print, not print the JSON, but rather, yeah, I think print JSON. JSON number. So I think everything is okay here. At least it seems to be okay. No, parse JSON number. And this is where we're gonna try to parse these kind of things. So what any JSON number start with? It starts with either digit or a sign. Either digit or a sign. So I wonder what would be the best way to actually handle all of that. Before I'm gonna go into that, I'm gonna simply trim the input. I'm simply trimming the input. I managed to double FPS on my 3D website here today. Runs much better on laptop mobile now. Yeah, I actually saw that. Yeah, I joined your stream and you started to explain what you improved, and then I realized that it is time for my stream to start, and I had to leave. But I caught your explanation and you know, of what you improved. It's actually pretty awesome. It's actually pretty awesome. Yeah. So what am I doing? So we expect source streamed. Maybe I can reuse parse token from before. And if I can reuse parse token, what would I do? Okay, so I'm gonna put a JSON result here, and what I'm gonna do is result parse token source SLT. Just this. You try to parse just a dash. And what is it going to replace it with? Well, I think it should create a JSON number. JSON number. Yeah, Emacs is incapable of properly parsing it. Maybe -1. Nah, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. So parse token is not really going to work here properly, so whatever. It's not going to really work properly. I guess the only option we have here is to essentially check whether the source streamed is not 0, so it has something in it, and source streamed data 0 is equal to minus. And that means this thing is going to be negative. How are we going to denote the negative part? Do we want to denote the negative part somehow? Do we want to do that? Well, I guess it would be actually kind of convenient in my opinion. It would be super convenient. Puka subscribed at tier 1. 8 months. My god. Thank you so much for 8 months of tier 1 subscription, and welcome back to our epic fake web developers club. Anyway, thank you so much for support. So, what are we doing? What are we doing? Maybe we can separate the sign. Maybe the sign could be a separate integer. String, I mean. Something like a string sign. But at the same time, nah. I guess I just have to test that weird and quirky case where you have a minus. I guess that's what I have to do. I might as well actually introduce something like yeah. So we can introduce I, which keeps track of the current position of the integer, right? which keeps track of the current position of the integer. If this condition, we do I++. We do I++. Then, while I is less than source streamed data and source stream data I is digit, while it is digit, what we're doing here, we just keep doing I++. So this is how we're gonna do all of this stuff. Okay, bye-bye, James, bye-bye. So my background job was looking up several DB queries from DB without just getting all the values in one big read. Someone built the function for working on one record, and the other one just ran it 400,000 times on every record. Epic. Absolutely epic. Databases, well, SQL databases at least, they have a capability of constructing only the data that you need in a similar way how GraphQL is trying to do that. In some sense, I think GraphQL is trying to reinvent SQL. And what's funny is that I wouldn't be surprised if somebody would try to use GraphQL in a similar sense as those people who try to use databases in a similar fashion. I don't know what I'm talking about. My brain is consumed by parsing of this thing. So, and once we got there, we should be able, I should be essentially pointing at the end of the integer, which means that the integer that you want to construct, right, so by the way, result has to be zeroed out completely, right? So integer is going to be simply data equal source streamed data, and integer length is literally equal to I. It's literally equal to I. Next one, if source streamed length is still, well, I mean, yeah, I, so we'll still need to check this kind of condition. If we have not consumed everything and source streamed data I is equal to dot, the time has come to parse what? Fraction. That's right. The time has come to parse fraction. But if it does not equal to dot, we have to try to do something else, right? We have to try to do something else. I guess you can have, yeah, I think you can have exponent even if you don't have a fraction. So that means this is not going to fail the whole parsing process. This is not going to fail the whole parsing process. Next, we check for E or big E. That's right. It's a pretty big condition, but what can you do? Yeah. So this is basically how parsing is going to look like. So if we do have a dot, we increase I, and we keep parsing all of the digits. We keep parsing all of the digits. Once we parsed all of the digits, we know where the fraction starts. We might as well, after we edit, you know, additional thing here, we might to lower. Oh, it's actually a good idea, Guduk. Yeah. That's a good idea to lower. Yeah, that's a pretty epic idea you got there, and that actually enables us with a lot of epic stuff. Yep. So we first have to remember the position of the fraction in the string. So here it is. So we use trimmed data, and we add I to it, and this is exactly where the data is going to be positioned. Then we continue consuming the digits, and once we're done consuming the digits, oh, this one is going to be very interesting. I guess I'm making it slightly difficult for myself. I guess could have just worked with pointers. Could have just worked with pointers. But do I want to go back and rewrite everything with pointers? Anyways, so fraction length is gonna be kind of dumb. Yeah. Well, oh, god damn it. Hate it. And also, I think JSON results should also return the rest of the stuff to... Yeah, it's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be nasty. The complexity grows out of proportion. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. I suppose... we definitely need some kind of a function that parses digits. Parse digits. It takes the string source. It takes the string source, but it also should bring the digits somehow. Yes. So it's going to modify the source, if I understand correctly. It's going to modify the source, so I'm going to put a pointer here. And when I have a parser that modifies the arguments it takes, I usually call it chop, because it chops off the digits of the string. And I'm gonna factor out that digit extracting behavior into that function, because you see, we already did something like that here. Here it goes the second time, and then in parsing the exponent, we're gonna have a similar code again. So it kind of feels like this thing should be a separate function by itself. It should be a separate function by itself. So now, how are we gonna chop digits? How are we gonna chop digits? While so maybe I'm gonna just have that size t here. Architecture builds itself, I suppose. I guess. Is it sarcastic or not? I don't know. I don't understand. Because I agree with that, and that's exactly what we're witnessing, I suppose. I source then. Oh, okay. Let's see. I is digit. And we just do plus plus, and then we have to modify the source. We may actually keep the result here. Result is definitely going to have data equal to sources data, and the length originally is going to be 0. And the thing we can do here, we can simply do while source length and source data is digit, we're doing the following thing. And of course we return result. we're doing the following thing. Source data -1, source length -1, result length +1, and then we return the result. Yes, and that automatically chops off the digits of the source. And yeah, so we have purely pointer arithmetics here. So and you should be able to chop off the digits. So I also want to be able to drop a single character if I want to. But anyway, so this is what we're going to start with. Trimmed source is not empty, and the data here is equal to, and this is where it gets complicated. Like, I don't like that. Like, I want to then connect them together, but whatever. I need to store the previous. Oh my god, this is so annoying. Like, this minus just doesn't fit there. Like, it just doesn't fit there because I need to keep track of it. What's cool about dot and e is that I don't have to keep track of them, so I can just forget them. But this one, this mother flipper, you have to remember it if it's there. It bugs me so much. It bugs me so much. Oh my god. Such an annoying thing. Such a small and annoying thing, but bugs me so much because it doesn't fit into the whole idea of the flow. Okay, let me think. So I can simply copy, and I need to come up with the name for that copy. Yes, foo, whatever. Source trimmed. Maybe I'm gonna just implement it in a very nasty, very hacky way. Source trimmed data +1, length is the length but -1, right? Length and the length -1, and you chop digits from that foo. But after you chopped digits from that foo, oh god! Oh, anyway. You have to go back one digit because of that stupid minus. God. Thank you, Luxurbim. So, 2 raiders, 2 tabs. Raided with 2 tabs. Epic. So. No. This is... I don't like that. I don't like that. I just don't like that. But if I don't use, like, chop will be useful further. But here, parsing this manually will be better. Okay, result, integer data, source trimmed data. Oh, come on, bruh. Result, integer, len 0. While source trimmed len and source trimmed data, if, we're talking about if, result, integer, len +1, source trimmed data, -1, no, +1, len -1. Okay, and we're gonna have a similar thing here, but with while. And data is supposed to be the integer, the digit. Excuse me. Right. Cool. Excuse me. Now, I'm setting up. Okay, so if this kind of thing is equal to dot, we are skipping it, preparing the fraction data with the source data. I just realized that result is zeroed out, so you don't have to ever do that. We're preparing it with this data, and while you're doing that, you're replacing it with fraction. Surprisingly enough, you have a similar shit inside of here, but with exponent. So you literally replace a fraction with exponent, but with exponent you also can have a minus sign. So that means you take this part for minus sign, and in this part for minus sign you replace exponent with integer with exponent. And there you go, chat. We managed to implement standard compliant JSON number parsing and didn't go insane. Or did we? Anyway, so let's actually test it out. So we didn't even need chop digits, so maybe we don't even need this shit. Not entirely insane, yes, not entirely insane. So obviously there's a lot of like a repetition here. Some of these things could be extracted into more readable names and shit. I don't even know if this compiles. Who knows? It probably doesn't. Who fucking knows? It doesn't. You see? You see? Told you. Told you. No member named integer. Fuck. Fuck. Oh, I know why. You know why, chat? Because I'm accessing a completely wrong thing. Let me quickly do that. Query replace, not regular expressions, but just a regular replace result with number. Boom. That was a mistake. One more time, chat. One more time. Dot. Boom. 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 Go back. So yeah, we have result, number, integer, data, and furthermore, I think result type initially has to be a JSON number. Yes, initially it's a JSON number, and we're parsing JSON number. Interestingly enough, we don't have a failure case anywhere here. We don't have a failure case, and what's gonna be the failure case? So you remember how I said that it's a standard compliant JSON parser? I lied. It is not. JSON type may refer. So it has to be unwrap, and inside of unwrap we have value type. Yes, yes, yes. This is basically how it has to go. Does it compile? Is it not unwrap? Did I confuse it with AIDS? Yes, I think I confused it with 8, so it has to be value. Alright, so what's another thing? No member. Okay, so a result value number. Okay, I see. I have to make it even longer, chat. I'm making it even fucking longer. So result number should be replaced with result value number. Okay, do we have any professional Java developers in the chat? Result, value, number, integer, data. Why are you using this dead language? Use Python. It's so cool. You can pip install JSON and have no problems. This is where you exposed yourself, kiddo. You don't have to. JSON package is one of the rare things in Python, not rare, but one of the things in Python, excuse me for rare, that come out of the box with the interpreter. You don't have to pip install it. Like you install Python interpreter and the JSON parser is there day one. So I'm not Python developer yet. You tried to debate me? I know a thing or two about Python, okay? Anyway. Not what I asked for, but got it anyways, yes. Anyway. So... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I need to get rid of these warnings, but I cannot. So I also have to make a couple of replacements there. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. So when do we have an error condition? By the way, I just realized that this particular command is easy to remember. I fit commands. Fit commands. Where do you fit commands? I fit compiles. Jesus Christ, my brain, whatever. I'm trying to think about this thing and this thing sometimes. I fit compiles. I fit compiles. That's what I was trying to say. All right. So you have first thing, first minus, and then digits. After this phase, if integers is empty or contain only minus, that means it's, you know, no for us, because that means you just have a minus, have nothing, or maybe something like that, which is probably not a correct, you know, number. Probably not a correct number. How do you test correctness of the parser? I just run it and see if it parses correctly. Use cline for C/C++. Why do you feel the need to order me what to do? I don't do that. I don't order you what to do, what to program in and what tools to use, but you feel the need to do that for me. Bruh. That's rude. Stop being rude. Yes, I'm ordering you to stop being rude because you order me to use something. So now, if result value number integer string equal, you know what? We can actually test it way simpler. Result value number integer len equals 0 or integer data okay, string equal SLT just minus. That means it's an error. What do we do in case of an error? We return is error 1. I guess I can connect everything together. Yes, this is how we deal with the errors. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense to actually construct those integers, fractions, and exponents separately. I have a feeling that it makes sense to do that separately. Suggestion would sound like consider using. Depends on the culture, to be fair. Depends on the culture, I guess. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So I was just pulling your leg anyway, Sonic 75. It's not like I really care about how you say things to me. So yeah. My answer is no, I'm not gonna use C-line. And I'm not gonna tell you why. Yes, I'm not gonna use C-line, and I'm never gonna tell you why. Moreover, we have a lot. Yeah. I remember, like, actually, I got slapped in the face by a Finnish person. Not literally, though, saying that, like, they was saying in a similar fashion, and then they say this is how they act in their culture. And I completely understand that, because we Russians also quite rude sometimes, may come out as rude. So yeah, forget about these things. Constantly forget about these things. Whatever. I want to focus on getting this thing done. Obviously, chat does not want me to focus on getting these things done, and I have to rebel against the chat. Who are you making this better JSON parser for? For you, personally, and only you. Yes. Only for you, because I care about you. So I wanted to extract those, separate components of the result. Number, string fraction. All of that has to be zeroed out, by the way, chat. All of this has to be zeroed out. Exponent. Maybe I'm not gonna even have a result. Yes, I think not having a result is a good idea. So, and yeah, this one is integer, by the way. Yet another cursed variable. String integer. Yet another cursed variable. I'm gonna remove this part here, clear replace with nothing. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Okay, nice. Why do I return JSON error here? I supposed to return result. JSON result. JSON result has a value, right? And the value is type JSON number, and number itself consists of integer, fraction, and exponent. Boom. This is how we do that in Russia. My God. That sounds more like home to me, I know. JSON result. JSON. We are parsing JSON. Epic. Epic JSON parser. Love it. Love it so much. Okay, let's compile this shit, comrades. So, what do we have here? Expected expression. What? JSON result. JSON result. Let's recompile that one more time. Is that done? Is that done? Hopefully it's done. Okay, so it's a little bit better. Still looks like shit, but it's a little bit better. What other problems we have here? Like, well, at least now I should be able to, join this, strings together. This is an error. I might, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I remember that I have a special value here, JSON error. Okay. If we encounter a dot, we're going into the realm of fraction. And when do you fuck up a fraction, chat? When do you fuck up a fraction? I suppose you fuck up a fraction only if it's empty, but maybe not. Maybe not. Like in JSON, if you have something like, or can I use JQ to actually test it out? I'm gonna try to use JQ to test it out. So here's the 10, and I'm gonna say JQ that. It recognized it as a 10. This recognized as a 10. This recognized as 1023, but if I put minus here, it says parsing error, which is kind of interesting. But this one can be empty. And can I put E here? Yes, it's a parsing error, but if E1, it's correct. E0, 1. And you see how you can actually move the point. You can easily move the point with exponent. Yes, that's what we're doing. So basically, you cannot fuck up a fraction, I suppose. You cannot fuck up a fraction. Exponent. Let's talk about exponent. You can fuck up exponent. Can we do? Yes, of course, you can do that. It's kind of like important thing to be able to do. Yeah. Okay. You can fuck up exponent if it's minus and nothing else. You see, if it's minus and nothing else, or nothing else, it's what's funny is that the fuck up of the exponent is the similar to fuck up of the integer. So maybe I can even reuse the fuck up of the integer as the fuck up of the exponent. I think it's a good idea. You see how parsing an integer so similar to parsing an exponent. I really love that. I think it's pretty epic. I think it's pretty epic, but the thing you have to do, you have to replace integer with exponent. And I think everything is okay. And empty value is not going to be parsed as anything. So empty value, I think, will also return you, you know, parse error. Chat, are you ready to parse some numbers? Because I'm fucking ready. This is how much code you need to write to, you know, parse this thing correctly. It could be actually factored out and simplified, but it is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. So let's go back to the JSON, and surprisingly enough, do we automatically parse all of the values? Yeah, we do try to automatically parse everything. JSON test. So we don't need this thing anymore, I think. We can just straight up remove it. And here we're gonna have very simple shit. SLT 1, then maybe 2, then maybe minus 10, 10, 10, minus 10, E2, minus 10, minus 2, something like that. So this are the things that we want to be able to parse, and let's see if it will actually parse them. We can even take a look at how it's doing that in the debugger, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. JSON test. Boom. The fact that it displayed them correctly actually proves that they were parsed correctly. Do we want to take a look at those motherflippers in the debugger? What do you think, chat? Do we want to take a look at them in the debugger? So, any serious on-topic questions so far? Can it parse minus, should it be able to parse it? Is that a correct JSON? Let's actually put it like that. It is not a correct JSON. So why should it be able to parse it? But you mean we want to test it out, right? We want to test it out. We can try to edit. Sure. Minus. Let's quickly test it. I'm going to recompile it. And I guess it managed to parse it somehow. Strange. It didn't fuck up. You found an error. You found an error, FMega. Let's actually take a look at what exactly going on there. We're gonna go into the debugger a little bit later. I'm really sorry. I just want to quickly, you know, inspect this with my own eyes. JSON parse JSON number. So it, yeah, it's kind of strange. Like it encountered the dot. Okay. Ah, that's interesting. But I mean, so it actually didn't fully parse it. So it basically dropped the rest of this thing. It just dropped the rest of the thing. But what's funny, where it was complaining exactly, invalid numerical literal at line 1, column 0. That's what's interesting. So this is a valid numeric literal by itself. That's why our parser actually parsed it. And then it was trying to parse this thing. And it's also a valid numeric literal. Oh, you actually found a very interesting case of Mega. Yes. Because our parser will consider these two separate literals somehow. So how can we handle that? How can we handle that? Well, I mean, technically the fraction was empty and there was no E. I guess we should expect space after parsing this thing or end of the line. Is that what we have to do, or we have to split everything by tokens? I suppose, because I don't really want to split everything by tokens, but feels like I have to. It feels like I have to. That might be the thing. Do we want to even handle it somehow? Let's take a look at the specification of JSON. So I do understand what exactly, but it's kind of strange. So JSON is an element. What is an element? Oh God, like why do you go here where, oh, this is so terrible. Like it's clickable, but you cannot click to specific values there. So value element is a value separated by with the white spaces before and after. So JSON is a single element as a value. What is a value? Value is either object, string, number, and what is a number? Integer, fraction, exponent, integer. They are not separated by spaces in any case. I guess this is the thing. According to JSON specification, it is not a correct number because the values has to be separated by spaces, but here we have a situation where we have two values that are not separated by spaces. And let's take a look at WS. What is WS? What's the definition of WS? I didn't want to save it. WS. What's the definition of WS? Nothing. Really? Nothing can be also space? Wait a second. It can be white space? Nothing is a space. So means it is correct to literals according to JSON format. What? Nothing is also a white space, so that means according to JSON specifications, there are it's two integers, but so it's a single element, but we also have a notion of elements which are separated. So it's kind of a gray area, to be fair. I think it's a gray area. Sodium rips my tablet apart. What? Excuse me? Yes, I know. Well, I mean, we already have 70 lines. It's the most complex part, I suppose. And the funniest thing is that the majority of web developers don't even use the whole capabilities of numbers and JSON. They always use integers in majority of the cases. They don't need fractions, they don't need exponents, they don't need all of this shit. They just don't need it in the majority of the cases. That's the most frustrating part of this. Oh, it's a zero width non-space. Are you sure it's what's put there? I mean, if it was some kind of Unicode thingy, it would actually give here a code. But here it literally says it's an empty string. Event B gray R. JSON has a CFG. What? Can't be gray area. It can be gray area. But I mean, this is not the correct JSON document either, and we're not trying to. So basically, even if you separate this thing by 2, it still does not consider that. Okay, so if white space can be nothing, literally empty, that means it is 2 correct integers. JSON verify online. It's probably, yeah, it's not probably going to verify. But that particular part sounds like a very interesting gray area. But of course, what do I know? Parsing error. Expected end of file. This, or this got undefined. Okay. Why did you expect one of these things? What's fun is that if you put a space here, so JSON validate, still, what about this one? Okay, so it expects like a JSON document, which is probably has like a root. I'm not gonna focus on this right now. It's unconclusive in my opinion. So, have to parse exponent in the past and use this to parsed myself. Well, I mean, we're also using strings right now for the number. So we have a data called JSON number. It consists of 3 things: integer, fraction, and exponent, and all of them are strings. And we're gonna have also JSON number to integer that will construct only an integer out of these things. We're not going to construct doubles for now because we don't need them for now, but we have a room to implement them because our number contains exponent. So everything is good and well, in my opinion. All right, so let's take a look at all of that in the debugger wooga. JSON test, break, main, run, TUI enabled, and let's go, boys and girls. Okay, and let's display result. Okay, we're displaying result, and we probably also want to see the test case that we're testing, I suppose. Let's display the tests I. There we go. So we are parsing null, and the result of parsing null is JSON null. As you can see, it's just JSON null. And we print that thing. It fucked up this thing slightly, but there we go. So the test is true. If we try to parse true, you see it's JSON boolean, and boolean is 1. Everything seems to be okay. We assert everything. It went okay. So what are we parsing now? and we parse in false, it's boolean and it's 0. It would be actually pretty great to disable printing, but I cannot do that anyway. So yeah, because it fucks up my TUI. TUI is so great in GDB, it's unbelievable. So what are we parsing now? We're parsing 1 as a number. Okay, we parsed it. It parsed it as a JSON number. And if you take a look at the number, its integer has length. I think it's not quite clear what is going on. So let me actually print result value number. And here is our number. As you can see, the integer is just string 1. Fraction is absolutely empty and exponent is absolutely empty. Everything is absolutely empty. Not playing with LLDB anymore? Question mark. Well, not watching my streams anymore. You exposed yourself as a person who rarely watches my streams. Congratulations. Anyways. So, the next one. So what do we have? Parsing 2. 2 has been parsed successfully. Makes no sense. What do you mean by that? It is not a number. Are you talking to me? Or are you talking to somebody else? If you're talking to me, you probably missed a good chunk of the stream. Welcome to the stream then. So, okay, I want to disable printing. I want to disable printing. JSON test, because printing actually doesn't really go well with, we might as well actually, get rid of the assert. But you know what? All of the things, like, they sort of require... Wait a second, is it possible to disable std out? GDB, disable std out. Like, in the debugger itself, redirect std out to null, like right during the debugger. Disable printing on the current line after... no. Disable programs output. Is it possible? Hello, Maleo. Welcome. Does LLDB support timeless debugger? I bet not. I'm pretty sure it does not support that. This is not what I want. Print to the file instead of std out. Okay. Show me how to do this magic. Set login on need to be enabled. You can tell it to watch file. Maybe. Yeah, I think this is what I have to do. All right. Sof says, who's Sof? Stack Overflow? Oh, this is how you spell Stack Overflow? Okay, interesting. Interesting way of saying Stack Overflow. Okay, so we can do something like that. Struct the flows. Break. Oh my god, my head exploding. Okay. TUI enable. I'm not sure if it's gonna print anything. Alright, so display tests I. So we're displaying that shit, and we're also gonna display result. Okay. Next. And it didn't print anything. Thank you, Guduk. That's actually pretty epic. I didn't know that GNU debugger supports bash syntax. I thought you have to use some bullshit, maybe even Python. Who fucking knows these days? Why do I have this 2 times? Is it some... oh my god. Anyway, whatever. What the hell is going on? Why does it... okay, so, okay. It doesn't leave the prompt. That's... oh my god, it doesn't leave the prompt. That's why it looks like a single output. Okay, that fucked with my brain so hard. Okay, so true parsed correctly. The next one, test Oh my god. Can you, like, and it also prints it in different orders and shit. Like, is there a way to make some kind of a separation? This is horrible. This is fucking horrible, my god. Like, just... Oh my god. Like, the only way to tell it to leave that prompt to have any kind of visual separation is to actually explicitly put put "and" there. If you don't do that, it will not leave that prompt there, and you have zero visual separation between the steps. And that makes the whole feature of using previous command by just pressing enter completely useless. The whole feature